Hey guys, my name's Larry Velasquez. This is Code 3 to Sector 3, a podcast that I've been trying to do for a while now and finally decided why not. So let's get into it. So, like I said, this is my first attempt at a podcast. Still new to it, still figuring it out. I will try to keep myself short on this one. Like I said, this is just the intro. I don't have any guests. I don't have any big stories to talk about yet. That is to come, hopefully. But yeah, this one's just more about me and why we're doing this. So for people who don't know, I've been in law enforcement for 11 years. I've done a lot in that 11 years. I started a small department, so we had to wear many hats. At a larger department now, I got back into a detective role, and I'm also an SRO. For those who don't know, that's a school resource officer. So I've been working at a high school since August. Um, I have fun doing that, but it's school hours. That leaves me with a lot of free time, so I decided to do some other stuff. Got back into school, finished my bachelor's last year, decided that wasn't enough, so I started a master's program in sports management and administration. Um, and then around the same time, my son found motorsports in an odd way. He was playing F123 one night, decided to show me what it was and how cool it was. And because I had talked to him, we talk all the time about sports in general. And one day he asked me about racing, so we started talking about racing, and I told him how I grew up, watching Michael Schumacher and things like that. So he knew that I was interested, so he showed me the game, and I think he played 5 minutes, and then I stole his controller and played for 10 or so, and kind of just an odd spiral from there. We got a sim rig for him and a little bit bigger sim rig for me, and kind of did that for a while. While we were doing that, he found, I can't remember if it was social media or just a website, Googling, but he found a local track. At the time, it was called Utah Motorsports Campus. Now it's Burt Brothers Motor Park. Um, but he found their calendar. He found all the different types of motorsports they offer, and they have a rental. Show up, give them money, you go karting. So we decided to go try that one day, and while we were out there, as we pulled up, we heard what I now know was Porsche 911s racing. But at the time, I was confused. I didn't know that go karts sounded that way. I didn't realize it was a full size track. So when we got there and started watching, well, we first took him to let him do some karting, and the whole time I was itching to get over and watch the Porsches race. So we finally got over there, and it was the Porsche North America Sprint Cup or Sprint Challenge. Sorry if I messed that name up. But yeah, so we went and watched them, and immediately we're hooked. We got seats over the garages, over the pits, and in big series, those are tickets you have to pay ungodly amounts. So it was pretty exciting for us to get that level of um, I don't know what the right word is, that level of intimacy. With motorsports, we could literally hear the teams and the spotters and everybody talking to each other, and they have radios, but some of the spotters were just yelling down to the pit crews. So it was closer than I've ever been to a motorsport. So it was pretty exciting, and we immediately got hooked. So from there, I decided that I wanted to specialize, my degree in a motorsports direction. So I started, every class I take, every course that I have, every assignment is geared towards motorsports. I've done a lot of research on sponsorships, partnership activations, funding, things like that, and also a lot about, I guess you can call it C-suite activity, management, team, operations, things like that. Um, and I've just, like I said, it was a very well-rounded program, in my opinion. So, but yeah, it's just something I got into, kind of backwards. Like I said, I've been in a career for 11 years. Um, so it's kind of an interesting decision now to start. Most people get 11 years into a career and they usually finish out. Um, Unfortunately for me, law enforcement doesn't have the 20-year retirement anymore. It's 25 now, so still technically not even halfway. So maybe that's why I'm more eager to jump if opportunities present themselves, and also why I'm looking to create opportunities. And that's kind of why I decided on this podcast, and because like I said, it's an interesting route that I'm venturing down. It's not, I don't think it's normal, um, but I wanted to just show why I'm doing what I'm doing, how I'm doing what I'm doing. If it helps people, if it helps me, you know, whatever I can do. I'm just trying to uh, get things started and get moving in a direction. But this is also part accountability, part, um, I guess you could say therapy. This is just me trying to make sure I stay on track. Um, you know, Share what I'm doing, and hopefully bring some people in. Like I said, the point of this is also not just to be a journal or a vlog. It's I want it to be a successful podcast, so I'm hoping to connect with some people and make some good content, and you know hopefully get into motorsports in some fashion. Um, but I do some other things too, and we're going to talk about a lot of that as these episodes go. Um, I can't remember if I said it or not, but I am an amateur sumo wrestler. Been doing that for a little over a year now, almost 2 years, and I've got to the point where I think I'm okay. I wouldn't say I'm great by any means, but wrestling in college or up through college has helped a lot. So I'm hoping to do some kind of deep dive episodes into that. I do have some of my sumo brothers who I want to bring on, and we'll talk about some things and stuff like that. Hopefully, show you guys some competitions. I do have a competition coming up next month. I'll be traveling to Milan, which is awesome. I never thought I was going to travel to Italy, and now I'm taking my family, and I'm also going to get to compete in a sport that I recently found, and recently found as an athlete. I've been watching sumo, you know, wouldn't say pirated online, but I've watched it on YouTube and things like that since I was in high school. So it's an interesting life story. Like I said, hopefully we'll get into that. Oh, I recently started I say started. I'm working on a website for a photography business. I started an Instagram account. I guess we can go that route. Did start an account to showcase some of the photos I've been taking at the track. But I also want to do other things with it. I've got a good friend that I've made this year who knows a lot more about it and has helped me already immensely with my photography. He does mostly sports photography, but he's also done a few um, clothing brand shoots, things like that. So bringing him in, and we're going to try to get that going, and hopefully, like I said, that'll all culminate together in something good and something we can talk about and bring on the show. I hate this is so weird to me saying that. Additionally, like I said, I'm a school resource officer, so I work at a school. My partner who works there with me um, is pretty well known on YouTube. I'm not gonna drop any names here. We'll get to that. Also, I would like to ask him before I decide to do that. So as soon as I get the approval, I'll let you know. Of course, I'm going to bring my kids on. Talked about it with my wife. So we've decided it's all right. I'm going to talk a lot about them anyway, so I might as well let them come on and have their say. Like I said, my life is chaotic anyway, just with all the things I decide to do. But I have some interesting friends that I would love to share with as many people as I can, because they are truly awesome and they've helped me do things that I never thought I would do. Um, and just a little teaser on that one. Ended up booking a trip to Las Vegas for a Scottish festival on my anniversary that I may or may not have forgotten about when I booked the trip, and ended up hanging out with my friends at the Scottish festival. Long story short, I called my wife at about 3 a.m. from a bar in Vegas to introduce her to David Copperfield. Like I said, things happen, things are interesting, and that's kind of why I want to share, because I feel like I know everybody thinks they have a unique story, but I do truly believe that I have done some unique things and I would like to share them. And if people like it, great. If they don't, I'm still going to share it because, like I said, this is partly for me, I'll be honest, but also because I want people to be able to have goals and ambitions and drive towards them like I'm trying to do as well. And hopefully this helps. But again, I'm new at this. So I apologize. This isn't going to be as polished and as perfect as I would like it, but we'll get there hopefully. Because that's my other goal is that I hopefully get enough of a, I don't know, following or whatever that I can upgrade some things so I can show more of what I would like this to be. But currently, like I said, this is what we got. This is what I'm going to show you. This is what I'm going to give you. But yeah, like I said, this is hopefully a meeting place. That's kind of why. Oh, and I forgot to say. I guess we'll go in motorsports because it's hard to say. I just want to be in motorsports. Like I'm finding out now that that's a lot more. There's a lot more roles than driver, mechanic, team boss. There's there's way more things that are involved in racing at any level, at any any discipline, any series. I recently I'm a big fan. Like, obviously, everybody's a big fan of F1. That's how I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, that's how my son got me into it. But recently, I've been a lot more into the sports cars, the endurance racing, things like that. I do enjoy watching those, um, which some people may think is odd because how do you watch a 10-hour race? Well, I've done it several times this year, so it's just something I like. But in that, like I said, there's just so many roles. There's track roles, there's factory roles, there's headquarter roles. There's just so much more than I thought there was. So it's a big pond, I guess you'd say. Um, but it's also an isolated one that takes some work to get into, and this is me trying to do that work. But based on my background and education and experiences I've have in law enforcement that I think will help me, transition into motorsports. I like talking to people. It might be hard to tell because this is hard for me to talk to a camera. I'd rather talk to people and bounce ideas off, other people, and that's why I'm hoping to bring people on. But yeah, like I said, I just enjoy having conversations. I enjoy talking to people. Unfortunately, in my line of work, we end up talking to people on their worst day, sometimes the worst day of their life, and you still have to be able to connect with them. Um, and it's just, I hate talking about it because everybody, like, I don't want to make it seem dramatic all the time, but sometimes that's just what it is. But I do enjoy talking to people. I enjoy, learning about each other because in our line of work, they always tell us, when we go through trainings that you're not supposed to share too much personal info. And I don't, but I also, it's hard to connect with people if they don't know about you, right? So that's something I'm definitely seeing a lot more in my SRO role is that these kids have a hard time listening to you, a hard time believing you if they don't think you understand where they're coming from. So it's just easier to really try to connect with them. And that's something I want to take into any future job I have. So, long story short, I want to get into like sponsorships, partnerships, um, maybe some aspect of like team operations, team management, which I know that's super high end as far as hierarchy structure in motorsports. So I don't think it's going to happen, but it'd be nice. But like I said, sponsorships and partnerships, I have already kind of helped, or have been trying to help a couple teams. And again, I won't say any names or anything until I get their approval on that. But I've already kind of dipped my toes, so to speak, and tried to get this going and this career going. So I've already kind of seen some of that and how that works. But additionally, like I said, in law enforcement, we do a lot of things. I know some people think we do one or two things, but we do a lot. And the biggest thing, and this is what I tried to get into initially, even in law enforcement, is like journalism, communications, I guess, would be the corporate term for that. Because I talk to people, I write about it, I talk to more people, write more about it, summarize everything, and send that to DAs or whoever. So I think it's similar enough to writing news stories. I think it's similar enough to internal communications, communications with stakeholders, shareholders, whatever. So I think there's a lot of stuff that would translate well. So that's another reason I'm trying to get into motorsports. But well, I've been talking long enough, so I think we might just try to wrap it up here. I think I've done enough talking and hopefully teasing enough to make people want to come back and see the next episode. But that's kind of what this podcast is going to be about. How I'm trying to go from streets to pits, paddock, whatever you want to call it. That's, for those who don't know, code 3 is what we call it when we activate our lights and sirens and run to these emergency calls. And obviously, race fans will know that Sector 3 is usually the final sector of a racetrack. So that's the goal. And that's what we're going to try to do. Whether this podcast helps or not remains to be seen, but I have high hopes. And also, if this doesn't work out and it flops, at least I'll have some good stories to be able to share with people and hopefully, some more conversations. My son is very good at editing this, so I'm hoping he's going to help me somewhere around here. But, all my social media handles will be available. Please add me. Let's connect. Like I said, I would rather make friends and talk rather than necessarily, I'm not all about trying to do business things. I don't represent a team, so I would love to just talk to people. So please connect if you can. Like I said, I'll also put my photography website up as soon as we get that fully published. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys sticking to the end. Those who did, those who didn't, they're not here anyway, so I won't talk bad about them. But I do hope that you will stick around for the upcoming episodes and hang in there with me. Like I said, this can only get better, so please stay with me. We'll catch you next time.